Ha.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Does look like Coca. Like soy teriyaki sauce.
Oh, that's tasty. That does look effective.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I gotta do. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the podcast where we pull back the curtain, give you some insight on what goes on behind the scenes of your favorite bar and restaurant. We like to call that the industry perspective. No fuck ups that time.
That was well said.
I've been doing it for 28, 29,
29.
29.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, you're
Yeah.
squeaking a lot.
I know, but thankfully it doesn't pick up on the microphone. I checked.
I'll turn that a little bit more towards you.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess I'll introduce our guest.
Yes.
So
You
today
will.
we have someone who is a good friend and someone I also work with, an exceptional server, handsome as shit, as you can see, kind as shit too, as you will see.
Yeah.
And I got nothing else, so I'll just let you go ahead and
Yeah.
introduce yourself.
Wow. First of all,
Yeah.
I'm a Virgo, so I don't take compliments that well. So I need you to stop that right now.
Such a Hollywood response.
Right.
Such a Hollywood response.
I've acclimated so well, haven't I? Hey everyone, my name's Corey.
We worked previously together. That's just Corey. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Just Corey.
Yeah. You know, and that's so much like our industry where you get edified in front of someone else, and then it's your job to like try to live up to that. It's like when someone says, "Oh, this is my favorite server that I've ever had," or "my favorite bartender I've ever had," and you're like, "Hi, like, I'm me. Hopefully you like me as much as they just did."
See, I'm very much so one to be like, oh, I'm your favorite server. Wow, I thought you were talking in the mirror because have you seen yourself?
Damn.
All of a sudden, just like,
He does
oh my
do that.
god, what?
He does
I'm
do that.
blushing.
I would try to compliment him
Yeah.
when we were working together, and he'd be like, "Nah, reverse card."
Damn.
And I'd be like, "Stab." And then it's just back and forth. And then,
That's what's up. That's really cool to work with people like that.
so what do you
Not
do
everyone
besides working in the industry?
I'm an aspiring musician, so singer, songwriter, trying to be up there, living my best life. The industry is making that very hard to accomplish, but we're trying to make it happen though.
Okay.
He's a phenomenal singer. We've heard him sing.
Yes, we have.
Phenomenal.
Yes.
Didn't we just have a conversation about compliments, guys? What part of this don't you understand?
You're gonna take these compliments.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna take them.
You're gonna get him one way or another.
Yeah.
Okay, Daddy. I understand. I won't say no to that. I got two of you right here.
Like a
Okay.
prefix menu. That the onions stay on the burger.
It stays on.
Stays
No
on, sorry.
substitution.
Not the
You come here, you get complimented.
Yep.
That's how we roll.
You can take them off later if you want, but that's how
Yeah.
we're serving them.
Are we talking about onions or cloves?
Both. They're always optional in this house. That is well known. That is well known.
All right, guys. We'll see you at the beginning.
And that's been our episode this week. We're gonna get kicked off of you.
Oh my god.
So how long have you been a server?
I've been a server for 8 going on 9 years.
Wow.
No, actually, no, that's so a lie. No, I've been a server for, I would say, actually 5 going on 6 years.
Okay.
And then I actually started off as a host and a food runner at Lead Expo, and then finally moved up to server.
Oh, you kind of really climbed the tree
I
on
did
that one.
the
months ago.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes, started off at a corporate chain. They have like 150 like different beers on tap. If you know what that is, then you know what that is.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No parts of that. No.
I didn't either, and I was there for 6 years.
It's hard enough for me to remember what sodas we have. You're gonna have me remember 150 beers?
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah. Yep.
That's too much.
Mhm.
I hate it when a place does too much. Like for everyone who's
Mhm.
been with us so far, you know that's one of the things I'm like very passionate about is pick your thing and be good at that. But for these venues that, oh, we want to have X amount of drinks and X amount of beers and this weird, crazy concoction of food or drinks or whatever, and then it's on you to be able to just like act like it's not the dumbest fucking thing you've seen
Yes.
every shift.
especially
and it's so cliche.
especially within a corporate standpoint too, because I think the one thing that was the craziest to me was we took tests. We had to come in an hour and a half before our shift, sit down with a white like pamphlet of paper and actually fill out like a not fill in the blank or like multiple choice, but like you need to write out the entire like description of said beer, food, everything.
Wow.
And if you
Having to
didn't get
find that.
above like a 70, then you didn't get to work that day. You got sent home to then study some more to come back and take the test the next day. And then you would work even if you got lower than that. But then it got followed up
I'm
with
assuming
a
they didn't pay
conversation.
you at home to study.
No
But we don't-
job
we don't
should
talk about
have
that.
homework.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No job should have homework.
You want me to learn this shit? Do it when I'm on the clock.
Yeah. I mean, there should be things, especially if you're, if that job entails like an actual craft,
Yeah.
something that you could be better at. I could understand wanting to better yourself. I look up cocktails all the time to just try to refresh myself instead of being stagnant.
Yeah.
That's different. Or having an accounting job where sometimes you have to do some things after you get off the clock. I can understand that. But to have literal homework like you're still in school, that's not acceptable for me. Because I didn't do homework in school. That's why I'm a bartender. Why would I do it now? What do you think brought me here? It was my lack of dedication to homework. You're going to give me homework?
That's a big red flag.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's something we could talk about, like red flags for a job. I mean, we kind of all have those jobs where like, damn, this was not worth it. So I'll just go off and start by saying, but yeah, like having homework, that's one of them. Including your kitchen and your tip pool is another red flag.
Yeah, that's a big no-no for me. If I find out a place does that,
And
I'm not doing it. Sorry.
I think those are like the two that really stand. And then
Do you want to elaborate on why you don't like for the
the tip
kitchen
up?
to be
Yeah. So
of that?
it's for a couple of reasons. One, you should be paying your kitchen their full wage because you know, including them in the tip pool means that you don't want to pay them that extra $60-$70 that they'll make that week on their hourly. So you're giving them a variable of maybe adding $20 or $30, and that's not okay for them because they're not interacting with guests. They're not creating a service for somebody. They're just doing their job, whether that's, you know, the dish pit, you know, washing dishes or making the food. That's all they're really doing. They're not doing any other actions, nothing like that. It's just they're doing that job and they should be paid the $18-$19, whatever it is that I don't know what the kitchen staff gets paid out here, but
I only want to jump in on that one because I want to make sure that like kitchen staff understand, dish pit staff understands. Like this isn't one of those things where we're like, I don't want to give you my money. It's
No.
not that. It's saying
you should be
you
paid,
should be
what you're
paid
owed.
the right amount to
Mhm.
do your job. You should be paid the, you know, what your job is worth, not what it's worth to the business.
Yeah.
No, what it's worth that you're doing that job. You should
Absolutely.
be paid accordingly. You shouldn't be working in a dish pit and only making like $5 a fucking hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked up. So this isn't like, oh no, you weren't out there making those
Yeah,
extra
no,
tips,
no,
so
no,
you
no.
don't deserve them. It's not that. It's just like, okay, you're doing this job, and the job should pay you accordingly to do that job. Not say, well, we're going to cut these corners and we're going to take money out of someone else's pocket to pay them because we don't want to do it. That
'Cause they
job
want to
should
save
be
money.
paying you.
And it's like you're already busting your ass back there.
Right.
You know, I've seen dish pits get fucking hectic. I've seen
Yeah.
kitchens get backed up, and it's like you're already busting your ass.
Yeah.
So, and you're not doing it in front of. You're not putting on a performance either.
Mhm.
So I don't think that's fair. So like,
And
thank you
and
for
you're
jumping
all-
in on that because yeah, no, 100%. It's not that you shouldn't get my money.
Right.
I don't think it's right. Pay these people in the back of the house what they're owed, what they're deserving, and then let the front of the house split the tips however which way.
Because we've also seen that can lead, and please let me know if you've seen this as well, where when you have someone working in the back of the house and they're a part of like a tip pool, and they're like, well, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm gonna get whatever you get. I'm going to get a piece of whatever it is you're making. So there's no incentive. There's no rush.
We work
It's
with
just
somebody like
I'm
that.
hanging in the back.
We thought about the same person. You know exactly who I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm mad.
We got the same exact person.
Jesus
Yeah.
The
Lord.
same exact person.
Oh my
Like, yeah,
goodness.
they'll be slackers.
Yeah.
And they'll kind of just be like, well, it doesn't matter how fast I fucking move.
Right.
Oh,
Not
you mean-
knowing that the dish pit is like the base. Without glassware, silverware, everything falls apart.
Right.
So
So it's not that we're not saying that your job isn't as important. We actually are saying your job
Mhm.
is as important.
mhm.
But the business should be paying your salary.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be
Non-negotiable.
Like if I'm your co-worker, I should not be funding.
yeah. I should
Yeah.
hustle harder
Yeah.
so you can get the amount that you are
Deserve.
deserving of.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, because you kind of said it like on the dot right there too. But I feel like me as a server, like the one thing that I'm always thinking, especially like it's not until like an hour into the shift that I fully like warm up mentally. But like to serve or to be in front of house, you're literally performing. Like, don't
Yes.
get me wrong. Like service is service. Like there's standard, but then how you like initiate or like come across that, like it's literally all a performance. And so I feel like for anybody back of house, it's non-negotiable, right? It's just like you're, especially when it comes to like the scale of like like food or like even like where you are and what you're getting paid. Like it just doesn't really make any sense location wise specifically. But I'm not gonna lie though, I gotta be honest. There are certain times where in my mind I'm just thinking to myself, because unfortunately I do work at a place where the kitchen does get tipped out. But I'm thinking to myself, all right, so today's gonna be like it's potential of like a $300 day. But because there are people that are getting tipped out who aren't just front of house, that means today's actually gonna be 180.
The one thing that always,
Unacceptable.
the one thing that sticks with me
Unacceptable.
is I always think back of that story you told me where you made $1,000 in tips
Oh,
and you walked away with what 200-300 maybe
Two.
like that angers me so fucking much because like you pulled that money on your own, but because the back of the house also has to get tipped out, you only walked away with 200.
Yeah.
And then that can like kind of compound to something else is where like how do you feel when servers have to split their tips amongst themselves? Like if let's say so and so's got this section, you got this section, and you like you're known for always busting your ass, and you know you're gonna make you're gonna hustle that table for as much money as you can because that's how good you are. But this person, it's not that they're bad; they're just not as good as you are, so they're not gonna bring in 500 like you would. And now you gotta give them a little bit piece of your bread because that's just how it operates. Do you like splitting tips amongst servers, or do you think everybody should take their section and take that home and then tip out the bar and blah blah blah?
Actually coming from a place where initially it was like a take what you make and then transitioning into a place that was pooled, like kitchen or not, I realized that I honestly kind of prefer the pool like culture. Don't get me wrong, to take what you make is great because once you see that number and that's your money, it's just a great feeling. Like, where are we going to drink tonight? Like,
Yeah,
matter of fact,
absolutely.
you didn't make as much as I did. I got the first round. Like, that's my compensation. And I'm still probably going to take home more, but at least that's something I can do. Like, morale's there. Now, in the sense of like a tip pool, I don't necessarily mind splitting it with somebody, especially like, let's say, for example, it's like somebody who's new. So, like, they're still trying to get their ways in of like figuring out like the ways of the water, whatever. I think for me, it's more so even going like before that. So, like, the hiring process. How desperate are you in the sense of like, let's say like the person like hiring manager, whoever, owner, whatever, how desperate are you to either hire somebody just for the numbers who has like that great resume, which resumes aren't really necessarily trustworthy nowadays anyway. And you know what, honestly, I knock nobody for like doing what they got to do to make money, but are you hiring somebody just to hire them, or are you hiring somebody because you realize like, oh, even if you are not as good as what I have now, you could be great. Like seeing the potential in somebody to where they can add value to not only your business, but also add value to your team.
Yeah.
And I think that's my biggest thing. So if there's somebody who has like a great personality, maybe it takes them like 2, maybe 3 times to like learn a cocktail, learn some food, like whatever. I don't really care.
Sure.
But if you're somebody who's just there just to get paid, that's where I'm just like, okay, well, you're here to get paid, but are you making the money that shows up for that, or are you just taking it? Like, oh, I have to show up for work for 6 hours, and now I get to go home. Cool. That's my thing.
Can I add one to that?
Please.
Because I mean, you spoke so eloquently on that. I just wanted to add one thing, which is a little petty for me to say, but I feel like being petty right now. Another option that I've seen with hiring managers or whoever, hiring people that either won't be good at the job or you're not sure if they'll be good at the job, but you hire them only because they're gonna kiss your ass. Or they're gonna be one of those people they're one of your people. I need to hire one of my people because one thing I cannot stand is when someone hires someone else and you can see it. Now they only hired that motherfucker just to make themselves feel good. They needed someone that's just gonna do whatever they say, however they say it, whenever they say it, and fuck everybody else on the team. So I just wanted to say that's another thing that gets factored into when people get hired, and it needs to stop. This shit needs to stop. Stop hiring motherfuckers just because you like them. Okay, please. I'm finishing up here. I'm not going off on a rant.
Well,
there's a very specific reason I'm bringing this up.
Okay.
Because a couple days ago, while I was at work, someone was sitting at the bar, and they're not a regular where they come in every week, but they come in like every other week, every couple weeks or whatever. And through the conversation, even though I've known this person for months, we ended up having a conversation and come to find out they were hired at a job that I worked at, and they were there for a couple days. I remembered seeing them because I kept saying to myself, I know this person from somewhere else. I just couldn't figure out what it was. And I remembered seeing them come into the job, and I was like, man, they seem like they got a good work ethic. They seem like a cool person. I wonder what happened to them. And they were telling me, they were like, I fucking hated it there. Because the same time I got hired, they hired on this other person who was a barback as well, because they were being hired as a barback, and they had a bunch of experience, but this other person got hired with very little experience and all this other stuff. But he kissed the person's ass who hired him, and he stayed on, and this dude quit within a couple of days. And here he is, has been in the industry for longer, knows what to do, knows all these different people. He knows my bar manager now. That's why he comes into my job. Like, they've been friends for years. This person got pushed aside for someone else who came in at the same time, and all they did was kiss ass. They weren't good at the job. But because that person, when they were doing the hiring, was like, no, I need my people in here. Mm-hmm. They set their business back months because that person isn't there anymore either. And they created a ton of damage on their way out the door. So, pay attention to who you are. That's all. Sorry. I just wanted to add that on to what you were saying because you were talking about really good things, but I was like, there's a bad side to it too.
No, but just like really quick, it's crazy that you say it like that because so being transparent, I was looking online at different serving jobs, and just to kind of touch off what you were saying about the person who was very experienced as the person who wasn't but kissed ass. When did you get to the point, and I feel like I hope this has a point, but when did you get to the point to where when you're looking at jobs or looking at the different places to apply to, when you're like in or wanting to transition, where you look at a job and you're like, well, I'm going to get hired there, but is that what I want? Mm-hmm. As opposed to, will I get this job? Am I good enough? Because I feel like with the two examples that you gave, the person who was more experienced, they were like, well, I'll get this job. They got the job and they were like, actually, this ain't it. Whereas a person who didn't have experience, regardless of their connection, was just like, I really want this job. Will I get it? I got it. So what do I need to do to keep it? Mm. So like, when was there a point where either one of you got to that point? Because I feel like me as a server, at least at the point that I am now, like, I'm pretty sure serving wise, I can get any job, just depending, of course, getting past the interview. Yeah. But like, do you see yourself like being in that position where like, if you were to go to like a different spot and that were to happen, you would just like peace out?
The way I look at it is if I get the job too easily, I'm already skeptical. I'm like, am I that good or are you that desperate? So I'm just kind of like, well, let's see how these training shifts go. Let's see what they do here, and then if I like it, cool, I'll stick around. And then the one thing in the back of my mind is like, I hope this isn't like one of those like, oh, it was nice at first, and then we reveal the curtain, it's a shit show.
Yeah.
So now you're part of it because you quit your other job, so now you're stuck here.
Yeah.
So it's like a gamble sometimes. But those places that kind of make you work for it to kind of get through that interview and then keep you on your toes, it may not be worth it. So I don't know. It just depends, I guess. But the ones that are always easy to come, I'm always just very skeptical about that one. I'm always just kind of like, I don't know. This is a little too easy.
That's fair.
So I don't know. That's fine.
I'd say for me, I got to that point a few years back. But that was because when I started out bartending, a lot of my experience was under the table. So when I decided to transition to doing this as a full-time job, career, I should say, it was kind of hard to find a place that would actually bring me on. So I was like he said, are you bringing me on because you really need someone, or that you actually believed in me?
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out, it was more so they just were really desperate. And then I've gone to the mom and pop places and the big places, but because I've done it for so long and I feel like I've, worked at my craft to this point, honestly, I feel like my resume speaks for itself. So I'm only concerned with the first week or two of being in a place, but usually I won't even take an interview without going in as a guest first, because I need to see what this place looks like from this side of the curtain before I get behind there. And if I can't see myself being a guest there, I don't want to work there. So there have been a lot of jobs I've just not even taken an interview for, even though I knew the job was mine because someone else was trying to bring me in. I'm like, it's just not worth my time, man. I've been in there. I see how stressed out everyone else is. I'm not going to add that to my plate. I'm just not. But I'm also lucky enough to be to that point. Not everyone is. Sometimes you got to take what you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you move into a new city and take the first thing you can get.
Yeah.
and it starts off pretty good.
Yeah.
Slowly you start to see like, oh man, I'm kind of being a little overworked here, but my coworkers are cool, so
Yeah.
kind of just sticking around for them. And then you're just like, you know what, this is a lot. And they want me to do this, and I'm making this amount of money. I'm taking this home. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I love y'all, but I gotta peace out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming. I was just like, he's gonna look at me eventually.
Hey man, I love y'all, but y'all ain't pay my bills.
Getting ready, shit's not paying my bills right now either, to be honest.
I've never worked there.
Yeah. No, I mean the place started off great. I met great people, but it was just like, yeah, it's like up here. It's too much work up here too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't. I'd rather take less somewhere else and be happier.
There it is.
It's we talked about it before. It's like I'd rather go to some other bullshit as long as it's less bullshit than the bullshit I'm dealing with. So it's like anytime you get another job, you're just going from one bullshit to the other bullshit. You just gotta make sure that bullshit's worth it.
Right.
So
Just like a relationship.
yeah,
That thing ain't hidden.
every establishment's gonna have some.
That thing ain't hidden like it used to hit. I think we need to see other people. I'm sorry.
Dang.
Every establishment's gonna have some kind of baggage, but at least if the payment's worth it, you know.
As long as that baggage ain't saggy.
Unless it's just a lot of money in that bag.
I mean, hey,
Not all money is good money.
that's also very
Not
fair.
all money is good money.
That's true.
Because there have been places that I've worked at where I've made great money, but I spent so much of it on drugs and alcohol to cope with the fact that I hated my fucking job. You know, like having to go in, have to have a couple shots before I go in, have to have a couple shots on my break, have to have several shots when I get off.
hey, we
That
work
makes
there.
sense. Yeah.
We work there.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah.
Together more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I won't ask him to work with me anymore, because every time I bring him to a place, it goes to shit right after he gets there. But it's not him. It's just bad luck.
So you're an industry bad.
Yeah. He's a black cat.
Don't do that. Don't do that to the black cat.
Oh, man. That's what the bell's for.
Huh?
For jokes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We were on a really serious note. We were having, but now we gotta liven it up. Which leads me to this terrible segue.
Wait, not y'all slurping your drink in the same way at the same. It's one thing to pick it up together, but the slurp was even the same. Like, just
That's what she said.
that's what he said too. Thank you.
We are equal opportunity here.
That's
We are
what
very
they
equal.
said as well.
Whoever they were that said it, that's what they said.
Yes.
There we go.
And they can say it anytime they want to too.
We will make sure to put his information. Nah, you ain't gonna get me in trouble. Yeah, have somebody show. I know who would show up at my door. Nah, I don't want no smoke. I don't want the smoke.
Don't worry, there wouldn't be any smoke. It would just be fog.
Lighten this.
It wouldn't be detrimental. It would just be like,
Condensation. Morning dew.
I want someone to do that like, when they don't like something. Just hit me with that. Just hit me with that from now on. Like, you know, every time I go on a rant, it's like, shh. All right. You know what? You're right. I should.
oh my goodness.
You're absolutely right. But I wanted to ask this question for a very long time. I've wanted to bring this up, but not when we were just doing an episode with just us. And our last couple guests have not been actually service industry. They've been service industry adjacent. You know, karaoke, Grammy Award-winning pianist. Shout out to Sam.
My
But
mom. My mom.
oh yeah,
Who
Yeah.
has been a guest
she has been in this.
and a guest.
Hi, Mom. But I wanted to ask this question with someone that was in the service industry, but also a server. When you go out and you're just going out for dinner, drinks, whatever,
Oh no.
and then you run into one of your regulars, how diligently do you try to avoid them at all costs? Because for me, if I see a regular of mine when I'm out in public, depending on who it is, like there are some regulars that I like their, I like their energy, I like their vibe. I would have a drink with them outside of being paid to do it. But there are some where I'm just like, you don't know me, please. So
Yeah, every time we talk, I
Yeah.
need to be paid for it.
yeah, I am a prostitute. I am not talking to you for free. I am not.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I have a little addiction, and that addiction is getting my 30% off discount at my said job. So I will dine at my job, I would say like once every 2 months, because like
Nice.
get an employee discount on top of happy hour. Why not? And so there will be times where I am surrounded
That is my nightmare.
by regulars.
That is my nightmare.
Especially, well, let me not get that specific, but anyway, I'm surrounded by regulars. But at that point, even I think
And by
there-
regulars, you don't mean just regular ass people. It means regulars.
Yeah.
That are
yeah,
also regular ass people.
yeah. Well, I don't know if they're regular ass people, but they're regulars.
Yeah. Well, you have a more upscale job than I do.
Well, I just mean in the sense where they're just different.
No, they different. don't they?
Pull up to the scene. But no, I would say even without that, I think there was one time where I actually was at it was actually a bar near my other old job, and so it was a bar that all like coworkers would go to after work. We got out in time, they would close, do our duties, make sure to go.
This fucking bar.
It was great. They knew us. They would come into our spot. They would do their thing.
Yeah.
It was
I'm
just
lucky where I work at is like that place that's like that. I've never worked at that type of place before where you were the place that industry people went to,
Oh yeah.
but it's so fucking nice.
So nice.
Yeah.
And then you already know that you're gonna get tipped well, because if you don't, then you're not gonna give them a service the way that we wanted. But no, I was there, and so our regulars would also go to said bar. And the issue is that unfortunately, the place that we would go to, our regulars were very much so forward and outspoken. So to both myself, being a 6'7" black man who can't hide for anything,
No, you can't.
no, I was like, me hiding is just like, hey Corey, where are you going? Oh, hey, because unfortunately I'm also that server where I don't remember anyone's name.
Yeah.
So if I have that guest who comes
Right on
back
the
to
wall.
work, they're just like, oh yeah, you served us before.
Yeah.
And then I remember I have served you before,
Yeah.
and you told me your names when I introduced myself,
Yeah.
and I don't know who you are because
Yeah.
I serve 500 people a day.
Yeah.
Like minimum.
People don't understand that. That is a thing.
And they get upset.
Yeah. You don't remember me? No.
Like our conversation wasn't like good enough to where you would remember me.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, man.
Remember the conversation. Just don't remember your name.
Or the conversation for me. I don't remember either. I smoke a lot of weed.
But I do remember what you ate.
Isn't that like
That's-
yeah. Remember what someone had to
Yeah.
eat, drink, a lot of the experience, whether they had a good time or not, you might remember a conversation.
Oh yeah, you ordered
But
the.
name just gone.
You had the overly complicated order during the middle of a rush. Yeah, I remember you.
Or you had the very simple and concise order in the
Yeah.
middle of a rush.
I remember
And I
that.
remember you.
You were low
Oh,
maintenance table
yo.
and low maintenance guests. Oh
Yo,
yeah.
I was like, that motherfucker gets it.
Mhm.
I remember them. And if you tip well, oh yeah.
Just don't remember your name. Don't take it personal.
Please don't.
There's
Don't take
so
it
many other
personal.
things I have to take in consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, you can serve anywhere from 150 to 1,000 people a day, depending on how many tables you get, how many fucking how many tops are on that table. If it's a 20 top, how am I gonna remember two names? I'm gonna remember the name on the card.
Mhm.
That's what I'm gonna remember.
That's yep.
you know.
Period.
The
And
person that signed and tipped.
Yeah.
That's the name we remember usually.
yeah,
It's just like you said, it's just too many fucking names.
yeah.
I'll put it this way. If I can't remember the cute guy who was sitting at the table, I can't remember your name.
There you go.
It's just like that.
I stopped. I don't apologize. I'm like, yeah, sorry. I just see 1,000 faces. Sorry, I'm not sorry, but
Yeah,
I'm sorry you're upset.
yeah. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings,
I'm
Wait,
sorry.
I'm
you're
sorry
upset.
that you're
but
upset.
you should have known what this was.
Hashtag unapologetic.
Nah, man, you either get it or you don't. I've apologized. I'm like, you know what? I'm done apologizing. I'm like, yeah, it was a busy night. So
I almost
you
said
gonna you either tell me your name or you don't. We can move on from this, or we can linger. We can move on, have a drink, and have a good time, and I can remember your name, or we can linger on the fact that I don't remember your name. So you choose.
It's too late to apologize.
Yeah.
Working in the service industry is like having 51 night stands a night. And then they come back later and they're like, you don't remember we fucked? Nah, I fucked like 50 people last night, bro. How was I supposed to remember you? We didn't even finish.
Wow! I went on break. I transferred you to a different server.
Yo, I handed you off. I gave you one of my other hoes. I don't remember you. But people really like, they come up to you and they're like, I had such an emotional connection.
Don't forget to swallow. Oh, is it just me? Okay.
Chairs. You can have chairs. My episodes like this from now on.
Ah man,
Hey, he's a spitter.
Hey, as long as you don't quit, that's all that matters. That's all.
Spitters don't quitters. Anyway, so what I'm saying,
Nah, you gotta prepare me for that. I took a sip.
A little bit of
well,
lube. Sorry.
but honestly, when you think about the parallels of when guests come up to you and they form this bond with you because you made them feel good, you made them happy, they enjoy the experience, they want to come back, they want to experience it again. So for them, they want that experience to be as memorable for you as it was for them. And it's like, I'm sorry, I can't. You know,
Because I had to do this again and
Yeah,
again and again
and
for the
again.
next 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
On the flip side,
Which is why we don't fuck for free.
well,
So remember to tip us. It's sad that I'm standing and I'm still short.
How you stand up and still the same height?
This is what Kevin Hart feels like. God damn.
unfortunately, can't relate. Cannot relate.
It's bad enough. I feel like the Kirkland brand
No.
of this conversation because it's like if they pay for me, they pay for me with like regular shipping, and then like for you it was like expedited because they needed to get you there as fast as possible. They pay extra for you.
You say that, but unfortunately, with all big things, there's at least one flaw.
Are you gonna tell us?
Oh, sorry. My bad.
He's gonna leave us with a cliffhanger like that?
So, unfortunately, with all things that happen to be like clothes, shoes,
Yeah.
whatever, there's always one flaw. So, like for example, with shoes, there's something wrong with the sole. With clothing, the stitching is very, very thin, even though the product itself is like almost like double in price. Being totally don't cracked up to
Oh,
me.
I know.
I was-
As a seller myself, I've seen the prices. Once you get up to 2, 3, 4, 5x and everything like that, it's the material costs a lot.
And to
It really
bring
does.
this full circle, drinking.
Yeah.
It's way more expensive for you. Man, I'm a cheap date.
Well, like no, like
You're
it.
trying to get me home, it won't cost much.
Jesus Christ. Yes.
Jesus Christ comes later. I come first.
The resurrection.
I've been talking to God while I'm in the Uber.
Oh my god.
Like,
All right, you said we didn't get the bed sheets are staying clean. The Ubers, well, okay,
yeah,
understood.
take the sheets off.
What, sir?
You ain't been to your grandma's house, put the plastic out? Anyway, so we have a video we need to show you.
Yeah.
Before we, because we know you have other places you got to be, and we're taking a hard right here. So
I'm
we have a
sorry.
video.
I'm still thinking about the plastic in my grandma's.
You don't know why she put that there?
I know exactly why she put that there.
No, you don't. I'm telling you. Grandma had a life.
Grandma.
Grandma. Nana. Are you pulling? Oh,
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah,
pull it?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So
crazy
we're
part.
gonna fast forward through this. You don't have to sit through this whole 10 minutes, but we have a 10-minute video that we need to show.
Because I was gonna forget
Okay.
everything.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
So
One.
now that we've
Yeah.
finished the video,
So
how did that make everyone feel?
Conflicted.
Yeah.
So to give everybody some context, there's another podcast out there that they do a great job. They talk about a bunch of different things, and they released a video that you saw
Yeah.
that spoke about tipping and in the service industry as a whole. But the main thing that was a problem for me, you as well, is that they prefaced it by saying they've never worked in the service industry. So their perspective is just on one side, which is where we come in
Right.
to give you that industry perspective.
Yes. Someone has to peel back the curtain. It might as well be us.
Yeah. So they said a couple of things, and the one thing for me that was very triggering for me, and I think maybe you guys too, the way they were speaking is they had a lack of empathy because they've never worked in the service industry.
Right.
So it's just the way they were delivering everything they said. They spoke with such a lack of empathy that I'm like, dude, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You just said you don't know what you're talking about
Right.
because you've never been in there. And I turned it off like 2-3 minutes in. I was like, I can't. It's just I'm seeing red. Like you guys don't like, and you're such a fan of them that I was like, I'm not gonna shit on them. So we need to reply with with at least grace and actually give something informative
Right.
instead of just saying, hey, shut the fuck up. So
Right.
that was the one thing for me was just the lack of empathy, because and that goes for anybody, not just these guys that have a podcast, but
Right.
if
For anyone.
if you haven't worked service industry, you can't give your opinion,
Yeah.
but you're gonna have somebody that's gonna call you and be like, no,
Yeah,
that's
everyone can have
Yeah,
an opinion.
yeah, yeah.
You're completely entitled to an opinion. It's just
but you're gonna get called out on your shit because you don't know. Just like if I don't know, like working construction, I'm always like, why does it take them so fucking long?
I
Like
don't fucking know.
Like they've been building this thing for the last 2 years. What the fuck? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes though. I'm just thinking my side.
Yeah.
So that's why we're kind of here to speak on that. And I'm gonna start off by saying that they mentioned that some servers in some places make more than medical workers. I just looked it up. Nurses in California make an average about $60 an hour. That can range sometimes anywhere from 80 to even 150K a year. I don't know of any, and they were specifically speaking towards servers, and that's why we have you here. They excluded bartenders and strippers. So I've never met a server that made that much. Have you ever made close to 80 to 170K a year based off of your tips, or and that one day did you think your payout that day was close to like $60-70 an hour? I mean, maybe not, but just it's hard for me to fathom that a server in one day of work is making more than a nurse in one day because they had a good tip out. Like that doesn't average out to equal that. Do you know anybody that's ever made that much where they're living that good?
Absolutely not.
So I think that part of that video was absolute bullshit. I think that was a bad example on their end. Could use a different example, but there's just I've never come across a server that's made anyway. That's a lot of fucking money in just tips to mirror that of medical worker,
Right.
whether it be a nurse, doctor, PA, whatever the fuck it is.
I want to expand on what you're saying with one particular point. No matter what the profession is that someone is partaking in, there are going to be extremes on both sides. That's just how it works. So, yes, you're going to have people on one side who are making an extreme amount of money. But then you're also going to have people on the other side who are making very little to no money. And then you have a ton of people in the middle. Just because you know one millionaire who sells houses doesn't mean everyone who sells houses is a millionaire. It just means you know a couple or whatever. It's the same thing with the service industry. If you happen to have a friend or know someone who's a bartender or a server or something like that, and they're making great money, that has nothing to do with me and where I work or where you work or where you work.
Sorry.
I know people who aren't making any fucking money.
Case in point, like if you are bartending or serving at like the MGM Grand somewhere in Vegas where you have these people on a
Right.
constant basis where they're spending big money, that's the variable. Like that's the rare, not everybody works in Vegas and serves in Vegas. So like if that's what they're referring to or that's what some people are thinking about,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, of course, it's fucking Vegas.
And there are also stipulations and requirements that come with that.
Mm-hmm.
The level of service there has to be different. The pricing is going to be different, which is why not everyone doesn't just go to Vegas every weekend. You save up to go to Vegas
Yeah.
to pay all of those exorbitant amounts. But someone who's working at a fucking mom and pop diner in fucking Kansas, and they're a server or a bartender or a busser or whatever, they're not making that kind of money.
No.
So when someone says, if you can't afford a tip, you should stay home. And I know that there's a lot of pushback on that, which
Yeah.
is one of my main things that I took from the video because they were responding to a video where a server was saying that they worked at a steakhouse or a sports bar or something like that. And they were wearing NFL clothing, which lets me know that wherever they work was showing the NFL games.
Yeah.
So that should be a decent tip out night when it's busy like that, especially for a game. But this server was saying that they weren't being tipped. Well, that's the law of averages. They're talking about it because they're saying even on a night where I was supposed to make money, I didn't make money. I gave the appropriate amount of service. Even when they were saying like I was stressed out, I'm dealing with this and I'm dealing with that, and then I come into work and I have to put on this brave face for you, and then you still do not like say, hey, look, regardless of whatever it is you have going on, I appreciate the experience that I have. have had here, I understand that there's a certain level of experience that is expected. I feel like you went above that, or at least met that. Let me tip you accordingly, because that's what a tip, to me, I won't speak for anyone else, but to me, a tip, it isn't just that you're paying my bills or something like that, or you're trying to give me some kind of bonus because I just feel like I deserve it. It's you saying, I know that when I come here, there's a certain level of service I'm supposed to get. I feel like you went above that. Let me give you extra for that, so that I let you know that I appreciate what you do. Because then when we see that, we're like, that gives us the motivation to keep doing it.
That's what the
Every
20.
single
That's what
person.
we talk about, like 20%. That's why that's like on our business card and
Yeah.
shit like that. Because that 20% is like that's that extra.
Yeah.
And we went above. You felt like we went above and beyond. And they also said something about like, oh, he was saying how he worked at this one place, and if he worked hard and people bought stuff from him, he got a bonus. The bonus is different from tipping. But he was like, well, if people weren't buying this and that, and my paycheck was a little bit skinnier, that means I gotta work harder. It's like, no, you can work as hard as you possibly want to. You can give exceptional service at every table, which I've seen you do. But if people are gonna stiff you, they're gonna stiff you. There's no amount of hard work ethic that can change people stiffing you on a check, on a tip. Like there's nothing can change that. You can work as hard as you want. That doesn't that part right there, I was like, no, that doesn't matter. Now there are people that don't work as hard and get good tips, but that's not what I'm speaking to right now. They said like just work harder. I've been working hard all day. All 7 hours I've been working hard at every table, and 6 out of my 11 tables gave me shitty tips. Like, how much harder do I have to work?
This is what, like, I
People
can't
need to
think
do
of
what they do.
any other industry where no matter how hard you work, you still have no say on what you get to take home at all. If you work extra hours, it doesn't always mean you make more money. Sometimes you make less because you get taxed higher.
Yeah.
For working the extra hours, but then your tips don't even pick up because you picked up that shift because someone had a kid or is in a hospital or fucking got locked up or whatever it is we got to deal with on any given day. And then you have to pick up that slack, and then someone stiffs you and you have to shake that off because you still got 7 or 8 other tables to deal with. So we've been talking for a while. I just want to know how you feel, because I feel like we were trying to give you some time to process it, because that was a lot. We had seen the video before, just to preface that. Well, we should have prefaced it, but just to let everyone know, we had seen the video before, so we knew what was coming, but Corey did not.
Honestly, I feel like this is definitely a topic that has come up a lot, and I've gone through like the motions of like how I feel about it, but I feel like there's no like clean cut like way to address it. I would say that when it comes down to receiving tips as a server, kind of like playing back into what we were saying before, it's still like more of like that performative role, right? And I sympathizing with her in the way of like, if you are going above and beyond to really like put your energy out there, like, I mean, for me, I'm not going to a table and thinking, how much money can I make from this table? Like, I'm not thinking like I'm going to upsell them on a dish or a drink that is the highest amount, so that way they're the tip, the 20% is going to be like X, Y, and Z. I'm thinking to myself, I want you to have a good time, because it doesn't really matter to me whether or not you spend more money. It really just matters that you come back. Period. And I feel like in that aspect, I feel like there are 3 different sides of this conversation, where there is the industry workers, there are the guests who come in for the experience, but then you also have the owners who are running said business, right? So right now, it's being put to the point where you have the industry workers versus the guests, and the guests versus industry workers. But the only ones who are being very quiet, who have nothing to worry about, are the ones running said business.
Because that's the American way.
Exactly. So
Pitting us against each other.
no, exactly. So watching that video, at first, like, don't get me wrong, like, yeah, I was very much so just like, oh, this is triggering as hell. Like, what? Like, you don't know me and I don't know you, so who are you to speak of my experience? But then I thought about it and I was like, actually, if I take the industry perspective away and just look at it as a job, right?
Thing.
He said the thing.
Said the thing.
He said the thing.
It wasn't intentional. But no, if you look at it from that and you just look at them as both jobs, everybody just wants to get paid so they can live, right?
Right.
So I feel like for me, from my personal experience, every job that I get, whether it's working at the steakhouse like she was saying, or working at like a casual fine dining spot like I work at, when I apply to a place, I'm applying to that place because I'm trying to further my income. I want more money,
Right.
so that way I can keep living my life the way that I want to live it.
Right.
Now the
It's
issue,
just the American way.
exactly right. So the issue with that is when you have guests who don't tip, specifically because of the tipping culture, which there's something else I want to talk about, but I'll stay on topic. If I live in, let's say, New York City, or if I live in Miami, Florida, if I live in Los Angeles,
What you do?
which I do, if I live in Los Angeles, it's expensive. So with that being said, if a guest thinks to themselves, I'm not going to tip you because you already make an hourly wage, that's fine. You're not wrong. I do make an hourly wage. You're very right. But in order for me to keep living in this city, which is also very expensive, where you are able to go from restaurant to restaurant and bar to bar, to keep having these experiences, I have to make an income. And unfortunately, with tipping culture, if you don't assist me with said income, you will not be able to get the service that you want. And if you're not getting the service that you want, then there's somebody else that you're not going to tip because you're not getting the service you want. You have that person that we were speaking about earlier who just wants to get into the job to make said money, even if that money is not what that experienced worker is used to. So when it comes down to it, it's literally just a back and forth with no resolve. Now, I forgot what my other point was.
Oh, that's
Well, you did say you did say that you did say how like tipping plays into a factor, and they mentioned that tipping leads to entitlement. I personally, when I walk into work, I don't think like, well, if I don't make this much, they're only gonna get this much service. I'm like, no, I walk in every day to work thinking like, hey man, I know I gotta make this amount of money, so I'm gonna give them my all. It's not like, well, they need to pay me this because I'm giving them my all. It's like, no, I'm gonna do it because I like where I work. I like doing what I do. I like bartending. I like that. So because I like it, I'm gonna give it my all.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting you to give me 20% because I'm not entitled like that. But it's like if you come in, you should at least acknowledge how hard I'm working. That's all I'm asking. Just at least acknowledge. And the way you can do that is by leaving, 15%, whatever, the bare minimum. It's at least the bare minimum, not anything below that. And again, it may come off as slightly entitled, but it's not, because if somebody stiffs me, it's like, all right, well, gotta get the next one. It's not gonna set my tone for the rest of the night. It sucks, it hurts,
Right.
but I'm not gonna be like, oh, they didn't. Fuck.
Yeah. Just because this person or this table or group or whatever doesn't tip me, don't let that affect me getting the next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't want it to trickle down. Like and they did say that. Don't take it out on the guests. It's not that it's the guest's job to pay us. And that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is the system's already set up this way. Let's just be honest, on a financials aspect, these businesses they're running it the way that they are so that they can get their tax breaks, so that they can be taken care of.
They can make the
They
most.
don't give a fuck about who's working, in the front, because they'll just get another one. They'll just trade us out. They'll get another worker. They'll get another server.
They're
They'll
just
get
worried
another
about who's going to make the most money.
Exactly. That's all they're caring about. And as you said, and you as well, you both put it very well, that they have us fighting each other. What the fuck are we fighting for? I need you to come in. I need to serve you. I'm, like you said, I'm not trying to make you a sucker. I'm not trying to trick you out of your money. I'm trying to give you an experience that makes you want to come back. If I get $5 from you today and I never see you again, that's nothing. If I get $5 from you and you show up once a month or once a week, hey man, at least I get to catch up with you, get to see how you're doing, especially if we are on a more personable level, we know about each other and stuff like that. That's what people go out for. So if we're giving that service, we're just asking to have it reciprocate it. That's all. Because you know the business isn't going to do it. And in some respects, it does work because I have been to different countries. That's the only reason I'm bringing that up is because that was one of the things that was said in the video and talking about how in America we use the tipping system and other countries don't. The service that I received in several different countries I went to was some of the worst service I ever had. But mostly because they didn't care.
They were getting their money
They
regardless.
knew what they were making, and it wasn't much. I actually sat down with a couple of different servers in a couple of different countries. Like this was way back in the day when I was thinking up this show, and just like finding out things from their point of view, from their perspective. Hey, I get the bell. It was just really cool to like find out these different things that I never thought of. As someone who's been a bartender or server or whatever for as long as I have, I never thought of what it's like for people in a different country. But they're like, dude, I'm barely making $16, $17 an hour or something like that. And then it gets taxed so heavy, like I'm struggling over here. So while you're saying other countries are like not using the tipping system, it's even worse over there. At least I'm not trying to shoot our country any bail on this, but at least there's a system set up that it's like, well, if I give you good service, you have an opportunity to tip me more, to reward me for the fact that I treated you like the person that you think you are in your head when you come into our thing. You know?
And to piggyback off of that, personally, I've never worked in a place that paid me $5 as far as service industry goes.
Yes, you have. We worked there together. We worked at a place that was paying us $3 an hour, bro.
Oh, the first place?
No, not the first. No, the first place too. The minimum wage when we lived in AZ,
It was
it was
eight.
lower for service industry.
It was 8.
No, it was like 2 something.
It's-
Nah, it was bad. It was
Yeah.
bad. We just
No,
didn't
you're
know
right.
about it.
You're right.
Remember there
Yeah.
would be times where we'd owe them money. We'd get not an IOU, it's a you owe me. They'd be like, hey, you owe us a couple dollars this week. Motherfucker, for what? What do you mean I owe you a couple dollars? I gave you all those hours, and they're like, yeah, but
Damn.
yeah, you owed us a couple dollars.
I've never knowingly worked at a place that paid me less
You've
than
been there,
minimum
man.
wage.
You've been
I've
there.
never, if I knew like right off the back, like, hey, we're gonna give you $5 an hour, and then you had to bust your ass, I'm like, no, bye.
I had a homie.
Have you?
I had a homie that was a server once, and they showed me their actual check. They owed their job $114. They owed their job $114. And I was like, why? And they were like, because of taxes. Like I saw the thing, and I was like, they taxed your entire check,
Mm-hmm.
and she was only making like $275 or something an hour, and they just taxed the shit out of her, and she owed them $114.
Fuck, I do.
Like,
Fuck, I do.
yeah, man.
I'm gonna take this bottle
Yeah.
home. I'm gonna ring up a couple of meals and comp them. Yeah,
But like, yeah, what's your experience?
Ew.
It's
Yeah.
the only
Yeah.
appropriate responses.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I've only actually worked at 2 like restaurants.
Okay.
Um,
Oh man,
yeah. So the first restaurant I worked at for 6.
you're like a gold star lesbian, but for service industry.
Basically. I mean, hey, I try to do that whole like longevity thing, and I feel like it kind of bites me in the ass sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it bite other people in the ass.
Because like, what was it? I remember the first job that I had. I was there for again 6 years, but I remember that I told myself I'm not going to be here for any longer than 4, just because my goal was working there was that I was going to go from being a host to being a food runner and then to being a server, maybe lead server, maybe bartender, but at that 4-year mark, I was going to leave and move up, like go somewhere that was a little bit more.
Yeah.
I did that, but instead of 4 years, it was 6 years.
Jesus.
But I just, I am kind of at a loss for words, honestly, when it comes to that, because to make that little and then to really just be dependent on tips, I feel like it kind of like still takes me back to what I was saying earlier about like the people who are running this. Where is their voice and why aren't they saying anything?
Yeah.
And I
It
remember
doesn't
my,
benefit.
I remember my point, by the way,
Cool.
too. So I'm probably gonna fuck this up, just to be quite honest. But I remember that I was reading this article that just like randomly popped up, and it was talking about the history of serving in the U.S. Nowhere else, just the U.S. And unfortunately, it got into some dark times within our past. And it was after. Can I speak freely here? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. It was after like slavery was like basically like abolished and to a certain point, but there was still like indentured servitude, etc. So the people, I'll just say people for a general standpoint, but the people who were working at said like restaurants, cafes, etc. They were working, but their wage was basically like nothing. Especially at that time, it was cents. And the only way they would make money would be if they ended up getting said tips from the guests they would serve based off their service. And of hopefully that person wouldn't be biased towards them and actually would tip them. But if they had a bad day, it was just a bad day. And I feel like when it comes to like the US's culture, when it comes to like the service industry, it really just builds off of like, how did you do? How did you again perform today? Um, and I feel like a part of me kind of like took that in the sense of even if I am making my hourly, because let's be honest, everybody in the industry, nobody pays attention to their hourly. It's like a bonus check. If anything, our tips are our paycheck,
Right.
and our hourly is our tip.
If we
Yeah.
get something.
If we get something.
we get that.
If we get
100%,
something. And that's just the way that it is. So again, like when it comes to like our way of living, like yes, I
Let's
want
not even talk about how sometimes, depending on where you work at, I apologize for
No,
cutting you off,
please,
but
yes.
Let's not even talk about how your paycheck can be late,
oh
and you were like,
hmm?
"It's the 19th."
Yeah.
And those cat tips are getting your groceries.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for the people where they take your tip and then they add it to your check as opposed to you getting to take your money home that night. So now you're getting taxed on it and your check is late. Or if you work at a place and the check motherfucking bounces.
Job number one.
Whew. Man, I had that happen once. I quit the job that day. I went in and put in my notice. I was like, I paid my rent. And then because of you, it bounced. Thankfully, I had the money to cover that no matter what. But I can't work at a place where if you hand me a check and say, hey, this is your money, and I go cash it, and it ain't there, neither am I.
Mm.
I am no longer working for you. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Amen.
So, one more thing, because I know we're coming up on time here.
Yeah.
That we said, they said, is that it's us versus them, but the ones that are running the show are quiet. It's like they kept saying how, well, like you guys got to change it. You guys, how are we supposed to change it? We're the frontline workers. We're right there, taking all the shrapnel, everything like that. How are we supposed to change anything? We're just there doing our job. We can't change anything because guess what? They'll replace us as soon as we start speaking out of terms or whatever.
Yeah.
They're gonna quiet fire us. You know, they're gonna give us less shifts, give us the shitty days to make money, and force us out. So we can't change it. We're the frontline workers. We can't do it. The people that are running it, they have to change it. And you know, if that meant like all service industry workers being like, you know what, going on strike and saying fuck it, then yeah. But that's not gonna happen
Yeah.
because
Well, look at what happened in the pandemic. Someone said to me, please tell me if you've heard this, but someone said to me last week, oh man, before the pandemic, you know, things were this way and this and that. And, you know, restaurants were like the last thing to go and they were the first thing to come back. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, they were in their mind, like, we were always protected. And I'm like, I know people who still haven't recovered from the pandemic because their unemployment never kicked in because whatever job they worked at didn't file anything the right way or didn't represent the right way. So they never made any money during the pandemic. And some of them had kids and families and stuff like that. Like, there's so many people who have been adversely affected by the pandemic and the system and everything, and nobody advocates for them at all. So the main reason we wanted to talk about that video wasn't just it definitely wasn't anything towards them because as he said, I'm a fan. So this wasn't directed at them. It just re-highlighted why we wanted to make this show.
Yeah.
We wanted to make this show because we wanted to give a voice to not just us two guys, but to the service industry, because there's a lot of things that we would love to discuss, but we can't for fear of retribution, losing our job, quiet firings, not against whatever. We wanted to try to make a safe space. And so seeing that video was just more of a reminder. Of
Reinforces
like
why
we started
we're
this.
doing this. Yeah,
Yeah.
to give our industry a voice
Mhm.
and to hopefully give these people that own these restaurants or whatever be like, damn. So everything's not okay. Maybe we really should. Not that they will because they love getting their money, but you know we're trying, and you know we want to give insider perspective to those that have never worked. So it's not just a one-sided word like you need to tip me or stay the fuck home.
Right.
This is why we feel this way.
Right.
It's not just a black and white thing. It's like this is why we feel this way. And to those that never worked in the industry like they didn't, it's just letting you know. We're not, again, like you said, we're not trying to talk shit. We're trying to educate you.
Yeah.
That's it.
We have bills to pay just like everybody else.
So
But
many
our
bills.
job is reliant on, unfortunately, is reliant on us giving good service and hoping that in that honor system, we are fairly compensated for everything that we try to do for you as the guests. Like we're not upset when you come in.
Yeah.
We're happy to see you there. We want you to come back.
And telling us like, well, if you don't like it, work somewhere else. So I'm like, well, you can take that and apply that to any other field. Like they talk about nurses, so it's like, well, nurses and people in the medical field see people die every day.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they don't like that. So if you're tell them like, well, if you don't want to see people die every day, pick a different career. No,
Yeah,
they
but
like what they do.
That's what you're good at, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
That's
not
all you
just
know.
that you like it. Sometimes it's just what you're good at.
That's all you
Yeah.
know.
It's what you're talented at to do.
That's an entire conversation
It's like-
by itself. And
Yeah.
if I may,
Please come
Phew.
in. Because I know they're tired of listening to me.
Oh, stop it. No, I'm just gonna say like it's crazy because I've been kind of like going through this like internal battles with myself where I've been in the service industry for 8 years. So for me, I'm just like, when I started, I was like 20, 21 years old, right? Like college wasn't necessarily something that worked for me, but that was also because I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I figured that out, but it wasn't something I needed to go to college for. But with that being the case, now I'm looking at like, what if I wanted to take a step out of the industry, right? What if I wanted to do something else? What can I do? What is something that's going to pay me the exact same amount of money? I'm not talking about getting like really good tips on like a really good day. I'm just talking about the basic, like I can pay my bills, have a little money to like live my life and just be fine. What's going to get me there?
But
Your
also,
standard of living doesn't change just because your profession.
Exactly. But then what profession would there be?
Right.
but also, what's gonna give you the flexibility to pursue singing like you want?
Yeah.
What other job is gonna give you that flexibility?
And the joy of walking into work, because we do this job.
Yeah.
Newsflash, because we fucking enjoy
We do like it.
and we love who we work with,
Yes.
and we love what we do. We love having guests come in.
It's great meeting new people
Yeah.
and hearing their stories, and you make great connections.
Yes.
So we enjoy it, despite the shit that I talk.
I know.
I
people-
enjoy it.
Yeah, I know people all over this country just because I've served them as a bartender, but they've kept in touch with me. Some of them, even when they come, like especially now that we're here in LA, I'm sure you've seen it too. People live in another state, but whenever they're in LA, they come to see you. Like, oh, I have to come catch up with you because you're that person who gave me that experience and I connected with you. So you're part of my LA journey whenever
Yes.
I'm here, or my Kansas City or my New York or wherever. Like you can end up inadvertently being a part of someone's routine whenever they go to a city. Like think
We
about
like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You make us happy.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just want to be able to live while providing that service. That is literally it. I don't need to be a baller or a shot caller. And I definitely don't need 20-inch rims.
Oh my god. But I will say though, I feel like one thing that I would love as like
call her a bit like
Jesus Christ. I will say that one thing that I personally would love as a server to my amazing guests is better communication. I feel like there's a certain standard of like, no matter where you work, no matter what you're doing, or no matter what your role is, if I'm having a conversation with a guest, if a guest just wants to be like, hey, I brought this person in, we're on a date tonight, it might be our first date. Like, yes, we want service, but we really don't need too much interaction. Like, you can just do bet, understood. I will make sure to pick up your plates and ghost. Like, I'm
help
gone.
me help you.
Like, appear like, oh, you're somebody where it's just like you're celebrating a birthday today and you want shots and you want a specific shot every single time. Bet. As soon as you tell me to stop, done, and here's your bill. Like
That
this,
doesn't mean, hey, it's my birthday. What are you gonna give me?
More like if you see my cup is empty, just order me another one until I
Yeah.
tell you to stop. Yeah, it's that easy.
But before we go, I did have one thing to ask you that was both. Hold on.
Yep. Cool.
Cool.
All right. All right. So let's go
I
ahead.
can subverted.
Yeah.
Just a nice
Wait,
little
am I editing or you editing?
I have to edit this
Okay,
one.
cool.
You
So
did the last one.
You got
for me.
that then.
Yeah,
You got that.
You did the last one. For me. I appreciate you.
Well,
Okay.
now that we're back up, do you want to get your point across?
Yes,
or-
I really do, because this is a very unique question.
I'm
Where you
scared.
work? No, I'm kidding. So, as another, for one, like we're all minorities, you know, within this industry. Like we're all we're mixed race. I don't know what your background is, but I'm assuming you're not white, not fully white anyway.
I just took my ancestry
Yeah.
.com test.
Yeah.
I actually know what I am, but we don't have to announce it on
Okay,
here.
cool. Well, if you want to, we can put it in the comments. But no, on a real serious note, because I remember talking about this when we had Alex on a couple weeks ago. Being a minority in the service industry is hard enough. It just is. Mostly because there aren't a lot of, especially male minorities in the service industry, as opposed to a lot of times like with females, you can notice like doesn't matter, cute, ugly, whatever, feminine energy is needed in a building. It just is. Like we've seen buildings that have no women in it. They're not fun. Sorry, that's just how it is. But when it comes to guys, sometimes it's who you know as opposed to what you know. And I've seen a lot of like male bartenders that were just really shitty at their job and this and that. But I know for me, being someone, I'm half black, half Latino, being in the service industry, I always felt a need to carry myself a particular way, not where I had to act a certain way racially, but as like, I got to make sure I don't step out of line, because if I do, then it's like, oh, it's just an angry black guy, or it's just an angry Mexican dude, even though not Mexican, like whatever. How have you ever felt that in your life, like where, like in your service industry life, where say you're dealing with a difficult table, or you're dealing with a table where their interaction with you feels off and you just can't quite put a finger on it, and then you kind of notice like it kind of feels like it's because we're of a different race. And this is not against any particular race. I'm saying I've seen it with all races, not just like if I'm serving a white guest or a black guest or a Latino guest or an Asian guest. I've seen it all over the place. How have you experienced that?
Every day,
Okay.
every single day.
So how do you deal with that?
Honestly, I think that's probably something that I'm kind of struggling with right now, actually. Especially with the whole like considering leaving the service industry or what the next step would be. And I realized that I've been in it for so long that it kind of has become my personality. Kind of like similar to like a teenager who's in high school, and your high school experience shapes you for like what you do for the next like few years, right? So for me, being a server, it's kind of shaped my personality into who I am now, right? Like when I am around people, whether it's like family, friends, or people I don't know, my first instinct is like, what can I do for you? How can I take care of you? Like I need to host you, right? But I guess
Can't
like
turn it off.
no, absolutely not. Like it's become a part of who I am. I would say, but to specifically answer your question though, it has become a mixture of a game, but at the same time like a necessity for me to let people know through my actions that one, I'm gay. Two, I'm
Wait,
non-threatening.
you are?
Didn't you know? Jesus Christ. But no, yeah.
You haven't mentioned dick once since I've met.
Oh my goodness. Penis and ass are my friends. But no, like, but just like for people to know that though. Oh my Jesus. Well, I mean, if you want to find out.
You fucking around, you're gonna find out.
As you can see, the gap is never.
You're gonna learn today. But no, I would say it's crazy though, because it kind of comes to the point where in those 5 seconds when your guest is getting ready to either sit down or they've already sat down, you're walking to their table, and in your mind, even if it's like a subconscious because it's like second nature to you at that point, how am I going to greet them? What does it look like they're doing? Are they on a date? Does this guy look like he's like masculine? Does he seem like really cool? Is this girl, just for the sake of the conversation, wearing clothing that can be like, one, beautiful, but also just slightly revealing? You know, if I'm looking at the guy and then looking at the girl, am I looking at her too much? Do I need to make sure I'm looking at the guy so that way he doesn't feel threatened, or like maybe I'm checking out his girl? Do I need to make sure that I'm balancing like the way that I'm giving service to both of them? So it's like this internal thing. And then of course being black on top of that is just a whole other thing, because the thing is when you think black, even if
I think beautiful.
well, thank you, I appreciate that. Compliments all day. Wow, you've changed me. Oh, Jesus Lord. But like I would say to that sense, like there's a part of me where, and my mom actually kind of instilled this to me too. No matter what job that I work, it just happens that it happens to be this industry. You need to make sure that you're not the problem, and you need to make sure that you're always your best. Why? Because you never need to give anybody a problem to target, or anybody a reason to target you or to point a finger at you, because you're the first person who they will. And so with that being the case, and it's unfortunate to say this, I see myself as like putting on my white voice. Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir. How can I help you today? Like, and instead of being like super friendly and be like, what's up, guys? Like, how are we doing? Like, you know, whatever I do, depending on my guests. Hi, ma'am. Hi, sir. How can I help you? Etc. Sometimes if it's more of like a younger group, and by younger, I mean like in our age group, hey, friends, how are we doing? You know, just approach them in a way where they don't feel like anything that they view visually before I say anything is anything that they need to worry about.
Right.
And that's already problematic.
You
I
have to
know.
put them at. You feel like you have to put them at ease.
Exactly.
Before you even really introduce yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
then also kind of like piggybacking off of like what Homegirl was saying, like, you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what's happening with me. But at the same time, this thing that I'm putting on for you, even with this skin that I'm wearing, is simply so that way I can make sure that my livelihood is taken care of. You know what I mean? So, I mean, again, I can't speak for all minorities because everybody has their own thing that they deal with. But for me specifically, it's to not, one, be seen as a threat, to be seen as somebody who you can be comfortable with, and also somebody who you don't automatically see as like being not smart or doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I am the best at what I do.
Or lazy.
You know what I mean?
Or inept.
All of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's my job to be the best at what I do, to have the most knowledge, to, if anybody comes at me sideways with a question, guest or higher ups, like, no, I have the answer and this is why I did this.
Yeah.
Like, there is no room for negotiating, navigating, or anything. And a part of that can be seen as like, I'm people pleasing. I want to be like the person who's like brown nosing a little bit, but it's more so a way of covering my own ass because, again, I'm not here for you. Like, I'm not even really here for my guests. I'm here to make sure that I am taken care of. And if that means that I need to show up in that way of being here for the guest, I can.
Right.
But I mean, that's really all there is to it.
I like that. Very well put. Do you have anything to add to that?
I got shit to say. That
That was beautiful. I
sign
only
it,
think of
stamp
a
it, send it.
I think of a term because as you were talking, I was trying to piece it all together in a way that we could tell everyone else. To me, I feel like it's almost like being an ambassador.
Yeah.
When someone sees you, like the first thing they see is the first thing they see. It might be the first thing they think or whatever. And in our position, it becomes my job to make that the last thing you think about. Not it's the first thing you see, but it has to be the last thing you think about. And being an ambassador in some respects is when someone sees you, if another minority sees you, especially if they're black, a lot of times you feel more comfortable. whereas another race might feel less comfortable or have a preconceived notion. But I also feel like, you know, when someone sees me behind the bar, if I look like them at all, or if they think yeah, I am half black. If they see that and they're like, oh shit, it's my dude right there, automatically, which makes me feel happy that I can provide them like that energy to automatically put them at ease with them walking into a venue that maybe they haven't been to before, they don't know how to order and things like that. I take pride in that. I enjoy being, you know, a black bartender, a Puerto Rican bartender. I enjoy all of it because a lot of times, even though that doesn't define who I am, sometimes I can run into someone and they're like, oh shit, we can bartend. Because I've seen it a lot. I think you have. I think you have. I know you have. Like, motherfuckers see you and they're just like, oh shit, I could do that too. Like, because you look like me, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't just look like, you know, like you just rolled out of bed and started serving drinks or serving food. Like, you take care of yourself. You make sure you look good. You make sure you know how to enter a room and command a room. And it's a talent. And I take a lot of pride in that. I hope that a lot of other people in our industry, especially no matter what race you are, I don't mean this to be like, you know, just if you're white, it doesn't make you good at your job. You're amazing no matter what race you are. I'm just speaking from me as a minority. Like, that's something I've run into because I have seen that happen where someone automatically talks to me a certain way because they're like, oh, whatever. Not saying there was a prejudice, but they may look at me and just think like,
It's whatever preconceived notion they have.
exactly. Thank you. I was trying to bring it home. I appreciate it. You know, like, so I just take pride in that. And it was just nice to hear somebody else say the same thing, to be able to be that ambassador for other people, no matter what pronoun or orientation they are. You feel comfortable when you're at my table or at my bar. You know, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming
Yes,
in.
thank you.
I mean, we've held a ton of your time.
We
but,
did.
Thank you again.
Feel free to hold my time whenever you want.
Well, there's no other way to end that.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
Don't well, we still gotta. Don't forget February 19th.
Oh yeah, February 19th,
February 19th at
7 p.m.
Alamo Draft House here in downtown LA. If you are looking for something to do, come check us out.
Free. There's no tickets. Free
Yeah,
entry.
we're not charging you.
Yeah.
Are they charging us?
I fucking hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. Don't charge us, Alamo.
Yeah.
No, they're not. We love Alamo. We appreciate everybody at Alamo and the fact that they're like taking a chance on letting us, you know, perform there. You know what I mean? Like, we think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're still
It is.
working some
I'm
stuff
gonna have a
out.
lot of fun.
We really are hoping to be able to announce what we want to announce that night, but we'll figure
see.
that out later. But February 19th, Alamo Draft House, downtown LA.
7 p.m.
Don't worry about getting your tickets. Just show the fuck up.
That's it.
Cool.
Cool.
Thank you again, Corey.
Peace.
Later, motherfuckers.